Breaking. The political tectonic plates beneath Westminster didn't just shift, they shattered. Donald Trump has thrust himself directly into the heart of British governance, delivering a blow to Keir Starmer's leadership that is so precise, so calculated, and so devastating that Downing Street is currently in a state of total paralysis. This wasn't a casual comment or a midnight social media post. This was a systematic dismantling of a sitting prime minister's authority on the global stage. Trump stood before a roaring crowd and declared that Britain is currently leaderless, drifting into irrelevance, and held hostage by a government that has declared war on its own citizens. The reaction was visceral. You could practically feel the oxygen leaving the room in London. Trump didn't just criticize policy, he attacked the moral legitimacy of the Starmer administration. He painted a picture of a Britain that is broken, weak, and rapidly losing its identity. And he laid the blame squarely at the feet of one man.
The timing could not have been more catastrophic for the Prime Minister. Starmer was already walking a tightrope, trying to manage a restless public in a fractured party. Then, Trump cut the safety net. He looked directly into the camera and asked a question that is now echoing in every living room across the UK. Is this really the best you can do? It was a humiliation, a deliberate, brutal exposure of weakness. And here is what makes it worse. Starmer has no response. His team is scrambling, issuing generic statements about the special relationship. But the panic is written on every face in Whitehall. They know that when the most powerful political force in America declares you a failure, the stain doesn't wash off. It sticks, it festers, and it emboldens every enemy you have waiting in the shadows. The narrative control that Downing Street prizes above all else has evaporated in a single afternoon. They are no longer writing the script. They are merely reacting to the chaos Trump has unleashed.
But this isn't just about Trump. His intervention was the signal, the flare gun fired into the night sky that tells everyone the siege has begun. The establishment media is trying to downplay it, calling it foreign interference or bluster, but they are missing the point entirely. The British public isn't looking at this as a diplomatic spat. They are looking at it and seeing a truth they have felt for months. They see a prime minister who looks small, defensive, and out of his depth. Trump merely voiced the quiet anxiety of a nation. He validated the anger of millions who feel abandoned by a system that demands their taxes but ignores their values. The silence from European leaders is deafening. Usually when a British PM is attacked, allies rally. Not this time. Paris is silent. Berlin is looking the other way. They see the writing on the wall. They smell the weakness. Starmer is isolated, exposed, and for the first time since taking office, truly afraid. The aura of invincibility is gone, replaced by the terrified look of a man who realizes the ground is crumbling beneath his feet. And make no mistake, if you think this is the peak of the crisis, you are wrong. This is just the opening salvo.
That's when Nigel Farage made his move. While Downing Street was still reeling from the impact of Trump's words, Farage stepped out of the shadows and into the spotlight with the precision that suggests he has been planning this for months. He didn't just agree with Trump, he weaponized the moment. Within minutes of the news breaking, Farage was on air, not as a commentator, but as a general rallying his troops. He framed Trump's attack not as an insult to Britain, but as a liberation of the truth. "The world sees what we see," Farage declared, his voice cutting through the static. "A government in terminal decline." This is the nightmare scenario for Labour, a coordinated two-front war. On one side, the global megaphone of Donald Trump battering the gates from the outside. On the other, Nigel Farage dismantling the foundation from the inside. Farage knows exactly what he is doing. He smells blood in the water. He sees a prime minister who is paralyzed by indecision and terrified of his own shadow.
Farage's rhetoric has shifted. He is no longer just talking about policy differences or Brexit. He is talking about a final strike. He is positioning his movement not as an opposition party,
but as a rescue mission for a sinking nation. He is speaking directly to the voters in the Red Wall who feel betrayed by Starmer's promises. He is telling them that the chaos they see in their streets, the emptiness of their wallets, and the silencing of their voices is all part of a deliberate design. And now that Trump has ripped the curtain back, Farage is pointing at the man behind it. The synergy between the two men is undeniable and terrifying for the establishment. They speak the same language of disruption. They tap into the same vein of raw, unfiltered public anger. While Starmer speaks in lawyerly platitudes that mean nothing, Farage speaks in headlines that mean everything. He is framing this as the last chance to save the country. The urgency in his voice is infectious.
And here is the danger for Starmer. Farage doesn't need to win a general election tomorrow to destroy the government today. He just needs to break the prime minister's will. He needs to make the country ungovernable for a man who lacks the strength to lead. Every interview Farage gives, every rally he holds, chips away at the remaining fragments of Starmer's authority. He is mobilizing a coalition of the disillusioned, the farmers, the workers, the forgotten, and aiming them directly at Downing Street. The momentum is shifting so fast that political analysts can't keep up. What looked like a stable majority government yesterday now looks like a house of cards waiting for a breeze. Farage is providing the gale force wind. He is challenging Starmer to a confrontation he knows the prime minister cannot win. It is a masterclass in political insurgency. The trap has been set, the bait has been taken, and the jaws are beginning to snap shut. Starmer is fighting for survival, but Farage is fighting for history. Inside the corridors of power, the atmosphere has turned toxic. Sources from within the Labour Party describe a mood that swings between denial and sheer panic. The discipline that Starmer was once famous for has disintegrated. MPs are huddled in corners, whispering about leadership challenges and damage control, checking their phones every second for the next notification of disaster. They know the truth, even if they won't say it on camera. They know that the public trust has been severed. You can see it in their eyes during interviews, the darting glances, the hesitation, the forced smiles that don't reach the eyes. They are defending the indefensible, and they are exhausted. The party is fracturing in real time. The left wing is furious at the lack of a robust defense. The centrists are terrified of losing their seats. And the leadership is locked in a bunker, completely disconnected from the reality on the streets. The media, usually compliant, has smelled the change in the wind. The questions are getting sharper. The headlines are getting crueler. They are sensing that the protection racket is over. Starmer is no longer the inevitable future. He is becoming the embarrassing present. Stories that were buried are now being dug up. Leaks are springing from every department. It's a classic sign of a sinking ship. The crew starts looting the cargo before jumping overboard. We're seeing reports of senior advisors already putting out feelers for new jobs in the private sector. They know. They know that when authority collapses this quickly, it rarely comes back. The bond between a leader and the people is fragile. Once it snaps, it cannot be tied back together with a press release. It is gone. And right now, looking at the chaos in Westminster, it looks gone forever. But the most damning signal is the silence from the British public. There is no counter-movement rising to defend the Prime Minister. There are no marches in support of the government. There is just a cold, hard anger that is waiting for an outlet. People are watching the news, seeing their Prime Minister battered by Trump and outmaneuvered by Farage, and they aren't feeling sympathy. They are feeling validation. They are nodding along because they feel the same way. They feel that the system has failed them. They feel that their leaders are more interested in international approval than national survival. And now that the international approval has turned into international mockery, the last pillar of Starmer's legitimacy has crumbled. The vacuum of power in London is dangerous. It invites chaos. It invites challengers. And it creates a volatile environment where anything can happen. The government has lost control of the narrative, lost control of the party, and is rapidly losing control of the country.
What makes this situation truly explosive is the underlying cause. This isn't just about personalities. It's about a fundamental betrayal. For years, the British public was told to be patient. They were told that the adults were back in the room, that competence would return, that the chaos would end. They sacrificed. They paid their taxes. They followed the rules. And what did they get in return? A cost of living crisis that never ends. A border that remains wide open. A justice system that seems to punish the innocent and protect the guilty. And a leader who seems more concerned with policing speech than policing the streets. Trump didn't invent these problems. He just shined a massive spotlight on them. He exposed the rot. He pointed out that the emperor has no clothes. And suddenly, everyone stopped pretending. This is a crisis of the system itself. It is a realization that the people in charge not only despise the people they govern, but are actively working against their interests. The anger is tangible. It's in the coffee shops, the pubs, the bus stops. It's the feeling that the social contract has been torn up. Starmer's government promised stability, but they delivered stagnation and decline. They promised fairness, but delivered a two-tier justice system. When Trump called it out, he wasn't speaking as a foreign politician. He was speaking as a disruptor of a broken status quo. Farage understands this better than anyone. He knows that this isn't about left versus right anymore. It is about the people versus the establishment. It is about the ruled versus the rulers. And right now, the rulers are losing. The moral high ground that Labor claimed to occupy has been turned into a swamp. They can no longer lecture the public on morality when their own house is in such disarray. The hypocrisy is too glaring. The double standards are too obvious. The establishment's only defense is to attack the messenger. They attack Trump, they attack Farage, they attack the voters. But every attack only proves the point. It proves they are disconnected, arrogant, and afraid. They are lashing out because they have no answers.
They cannot fix the economy. They cannot secure the borders. They cannot unite the country. So they resort to fear. But the fear isn't working anymore. The public is past fear. They are at the stage of cold resolve. They are looking at the wreckage of their country and demanding accountability. This is the energy that Farage is harnessing. It is the energy of a population that has had enough. It is a dangerous, powerful force that once unleashed cannot be put back in the bottle. Starmer is standing in the path of a hurricane, holding up a paper umbrella. The storm is here. The betrayal is exposed, and the reckoning is inescapable. So where does this end? That is the terrifying question hanging over London tonight. The clock is ticking, and it is ticking louder than ever before. We are approaching a moment of critical mass. The pressure on Starmer is becoming physically unsustainable. How long can a prime minister survive when he is fighting a war on two fronts with an army that is deserting him? The grim reality is that the countdown has started. Every hour that passes without a decisive move from Downing Street brings the end closer. But what is the move? There are no good options left. If he fights back, he escalates the war with Trump and risks total diplomatic isolation. If he stays silent, he looks weak and complicit. If he tries to pivot, he looks desperate. He is checkmated, and Farage is waiting to flip the board.
We are witnessing the potential end of a political era. The collapse of authority is happening at a speed that is historic. If Starmer falls, it won't just be the end of a premiership. It will be a total rejection of the establishment consensus that put him there. It will be a signal that the old rules no longer apply. The final strike that Farage is preparing isn't just a political maneuver. It is a regime change in the making. The stakes could not be higher. The future of Britain is being decided right now, in real time, under the glare of the world's media. The forces of disruption are at the gate. The defenders are fleeing the walls. And the man at the top is alone. This is history in the making, and you are watching it unfold. The question is no longer if the change is coming, but when. Will Starmer be forced out by his own party before the week is out? Will Farage force a general election? Will Trump deliver another blow that finally knocks the House down? The suspense is unbearable. The tension is breaking the system apart. You need to pay attention, because the Britain of tomorrow will look nothing like the Britain of yesterday.
the tremors are turning into an earthquake. If you want to know the truth about what happens next, if you want to see the reality the mainstream media is trying to hide, you need to subscribe right now. Hit that like button to show you stand with the truth. Share this video with everyone you know because they need to be prepared. The final act is about to begin. Don't blink. Stay with us.